So getting right to the questions, tell me a little bit, what was your role in the search committee?
Well, when John Waters was fired from his position, there was a search committee that was launched to find someone to take over that position. We were very fortunate to have 2 student members on the committee for that process. So I was voted in as one of the 2 members for the search committee.
And then you since resigned. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I know you sent an email to, was it members of the marching band or the search committee? Who did you send the email to? What sorts of things did the email say, and how did you arrive at that conclusion?
So yeah, when John was initially displaced from his position, the band found out via Columbus Dispatch, and that really struck us really hard. And so I wanted to kind of let the band know what was going on with me, because I represented them. Like, I was voted in to be their voice. So I didn't want them to find out, from the media that I had stepped down. So I sent the email out to all of my bandmates, as well as the search committee and the band directing staff. I really have nothing to hide. I stepped down because I started feeling uncomfortable with decisions that were being made. For instance, in my email, I mentioned that when the first set of 2 finalists came to campus, I had no idea who they would be until my fellow bandmates found out. And just as a member of that committee, that felt really wrong. That we had narrowed down, a list. We got to 4 candidates. All of a sudden, there were 2, and had no idea.
What was the atmosphere like in the search committee when you were taking part in meetings and things like that? Did you feel that your voice was heard, or did you feel it was more of a formality? What was the atmosphere like? What sorts of things took place when the committee would meet? What kind of input did you have as a student?
Well, I'd like to believe a little bit of both. I think that my opinion was valued at times, and I think other times the committee was in a position where they needed to make decisions, couldn't get the committee all together at once, and then they had to make some calls. And I don't discredit the 2 candidates, Sperlin and Hauser. I think that they would have been great fits for the position. However, it's sketchy to me that the decisions were made the way that they were made, and it leads me to believe that there's another agenda at play. When I have not one but more than one person come to me and tell me what's about to happen in the search committee before we've even met. And then watching those speculations play out, I mean, red flags everywhere. It makes me think that upper administration could potentially be running this process. And the search committee is put together for a recommendation. So we are not the ones to make a final say. We recommend finalists, and it's taken up the ladder, and a decision would be made from the recommendations that we've made. So with that, like, I understand, not having the final say and those sorts of things. What I don't understand is, if we are making a recommendation, why not let the committee do its job? Why is it only a few people with all the information in the committee? And why are things being withheld from the rest of the committee?
So over the course of the search committee meeting, was there ever talk of reinstating John Waters? I know he had applied to be the band director again, but when we, as the Lantern staff, would ask OSU for comment if John Waters was being considered, the statement we always got time and time again was that OSU could not comment on the specifics of an open job search. So I was wondering, as a former member at this point of the search committee, was John Waters' name ever brought up, and was there any consideration ever given?
Well, obviously his name was brought up because we did receive his application, and we would always put it on the back burner because we know of the pending lawsuit. From my understanding, that he was considered for a very long time, and then when we got to, started narrowing down the list, all of a sudden John's name was no longer on the list, and there was really no reason. It was just brought to our attention that, yeah, we took this up to upper administration, and it's not going to happen.
So it sounds like they considered his name for, you know, a decent amount of time, but then when it came down to a couple finalists, all of a sudden his name disappeared then. And do you think that maybe they kept his name on the list just to, you know, appease his supporters who are on the search committee, or do you think they were actually, you know, really considering him as...
Yeah, and that's the questions I ask myself every day.
Yeah.
You know, just there's so many things I feel like happening that I don't know if I'm truly a valued member of that committee, or if I am just there to make the students happy and, you know, have that balance.
Sure. Okay. Let's talk about after Barry Hauser from Illinois and after Corey Sperlin recently this past week from Auburn decided not to come to Ohio State or not to be considered a finalist anymore. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see that coming? I know we got reaction from OSU spokespeople who said, you know, this type of thing is common. It happens mm-hmm. all the time in a search committee. Well, that probably does happen. Were you guys expecting this as a search committee? And what did you do after you learned that, you know, your second guy said that he didn't want to be considered anymore? What was the reaction of the search committee?
Well, first I'd like to say that I found out that they would not be taking the position from the Lantern and other media sources. So that was kind of a letdown to be informed of what was going on via media outlets. But it is pretty common. I think they would have been great fits. But however, you know, when you're so settled in a program and you come to this program, we already have a lot of resources established, and some programs, you know, want what we have to be successful. And when you get, you know, offered this position, if they were offered this position, I don't know, that their home schools are like, hey, we're gonna try to make things better. We're gonna try to let this work out. Why don't you like stay here? I don't know how that conversation goes, but I wasn't surprised. I mean, both candidates seemed genuinely interested about our program and, mm-hmm. and really cared about what was going on. So yeah, I was surprised, but I'm not let down. I think it's totally understandable what they did.
And I'm just wondering if people within the band were given any consideration or if they even applied. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did have a few people, and again, to keep things confidential because I'm not sure what's been released and what hasn't. Some of those people withdrew their application because of the way the process was being ran, and they too felt uncomfortable with the process.
People within the organization?
Yes, correct. Okay. So they removed themselves just like I just did, which was really unfortunate because I think that few of those candidates would have easily been at the top of the list. And now with them not there anymore, it's hard finding other people that have that same affiliation that they had.
Sure.
As far as Chris Hoke, I mean, we've all seen his talent. His drill writing has changed the way that marching bands march. And it's just surprising to me that he's not taken more seriously. I know his name floats around up near the top, but mm-hmm. it's just surprising to me that the person that kept the band afloat and that just helped things keep running isn't more seriously considered.
Did Chris Hoke ever formally apply for the position?
Yeah.
Is his name still being considered?
I don't know. After I resigned,
Okay.
I don't know the process in which what's going on.
Towards the end, I know you said that there was a lot kept from you as a search committee member, but did you ever hear his name towards the end, still in the conversation?
No, not really. The committee started focusing on other people, and there was speculation that employees of the university went to Chris Hoke and told him that he was no longer being considered for the position. And I don't know if that's true. And once a member of the committee, I would think that I should have been able to know that. If he was one of our finalists and he's no longer being considered, would kind of like to know why.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever any discussion that from hiring within that, this sexualized culture that the OSU investigation found to be prevalent in the band, was there any, worry that that culture might still continue if they were to hire within? Do you know if they were set from hiring within the outside, or?
And I can't prove anything like that.
Yeah, it was never discussed then.
It was brought to the attention, but it was denied. Mm-hmm. But just sitting here watching things play out, you still wonder to yourself, is there something going on above the search committee? It felt like to me that decisions were being made, and that if it really didn't involve the committee's input, then why am I here?